What's going on? Welcome back to... Wait, what am I doing? I've got like Justin Bieber hair on. Hold on. All right, that's better. Still need a haircut, but it'll do for now. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and in today's video, we have the deck list revealed for the starter decks for Azurite Sea, Disney Lorcana's next biggest expansion. We're going to be going ahead and looking at the Ruby Amber deck, a seaworthy crew. Let's head over to the Mushu Report Wiki, where they have all the cards listed already for us, and let's check it out. A link to that wiki will be down in the video description as well, and let's get right into it. All right, so here we have the Ruby Amber starter deck for Disney Lorcana Azurite Sea, a seaworthy crew. We're getting a good mix of characters, location, actions, and items. And one thing to note, we're actually going back to the old way of doing starter decks, where not only are we getting cards from this set, but maybe also including some core cards that weren't featured in the last starter decks. So you'll see some things in this deck from set number 5 as well. All right, so starting off with our first character from the Amber side, it's going to be Fixit Felix Jr. This is a card from last set, Shimmering Sky. When you play this character, if you have a location in play, you can draw a card. We recently just saw this card place top 32 in a location-based Amber Steel deck. So it's pretty cool that we're getting it as an inclusion here for a starter deck, making it even easier to pick up if we want to mess around with locations. And this deck's going to have quite a bit of locations as well for us to use. Then of course, since we do have the small Fixit Felix, they've also gone in and thrown in the Floodborne Fixit Felix, giving your locations a little bit extra oomph, 2 extra willpower, and a nice card to put out on turn 3, especially if you can put out a big location on turn 2. Creates a really cool combo. All right, and next up we have our first new card. It's going to be Gopher, Ship's Carpenter. It is a 4-cost Inkable, 1 strength, 6 willpower, questing for 2. It's going to be a nice tanky character that can survive getting hit with a Long Cane Zeus. You can also take a little bit more damage from those early game challenges, allowing you to get a little bit extra lore out on the board. One of the 2 featured characters on the box art is going to be our super rare for the starter deck, Jim Hawkins, Honorable Pirate. It's pretty expensive, being a 7 cost. He does get you that 4/7 stat line, questing for 2 with Bodyguard and a special ability. When you play this character, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and if you have any pirates in those top 4, you can put them all into your hand, unlocking some pretty cool deck drawing abilities for these pirate decks. And it's got a beautiful artwork to boot. Definitely a cool card to come out with this set, although it is a little bit on the expensive side with that 7 cost. And next up we have Owl, Pirate Lookout, 3-cost Inkable, 3/3 stat line with the ability Well Spotted. During your turn, whenever a card is put into the inkwell, chosen opposing character gets -1 strength until the start of your next turn, allowing you to do some favorable trades. Maybe now it unlocks the ability to get rid of it or bounce it with some of these other cards that you include in your decks. You can use this to get a beast into kit range, or maybe even under the sea range. Or if you pair this with some Ruby staples, maybe this is a great card to unlock more targets for Brawl without the need of Ice Block from Sapphire. Just a very versatile card, and we always love things that are inkable, and it gets that pirate tag, allowing it to have a little bit more synergy if you build around that. And following up on that, we have a new 1-cost card for Amber. It's going to be Rabbit, Indigent Pirate. He's a 1/2 with the ability Be More Careful. When you play this character, you may remove 1 damage from chosen character. Just a nice tiny heal card for the 1 cost, and you're getting another body onto the board, which we can't really complain about. Next up, we have the 2-cost Inkable Rue Littlest Pirate, also a 1/2 stat line with the ability I'm a Pirate too. When you play this character, you may give chosen character -2 strength until the start of your next turn. So an even better card to pair with things like Brawl, Madame Medusa, or your big Sisus. It's a lot cheaper to get out, so you can combo it a lot better. Although this card in particular is not really going to be something that you're questing with or using to attack with. Really liking this card for a big impact, putting things like Tinkerbell into Medusa range. I think this -2 strength on such a low cost character allows you to target into a lot more cards with your Ruby removal. So it'll be pretty interesting to see if this makes its way into some sort of Ruby Amber deck that's able to use that combo effectively. All right, and then a card from last set that they're including into this deck is going to be Root, Northern Moose, a support character, 3/4 stat line, questing for 1, but giving that 3 strength to one of your other cards on the board for your turn. We haven't seen much use out of this card, or really support cards in general, but just another character card to really fill out this deck. And it wouldn't be complete without Took the Northern Moose, A 4/4 stat line, also 4 inkable, just questing for 1. I think just a nice basic card to include here, and has a pretty decent stat line as well with the 4 cost. All right, and now back to the new cards, back to the pirates. We've got the 2 cost uninkable Winnie the Pooh Honey Pirate, a 2/2 body with support, and the ability we're pirates, you see. Whenever this character quests, you pay 1 less for the next pirate character you play for this turn. This is unlocking the same thing that like a dock has, but just for your pirates, which if you're using this card, you're probably building some sort of pirate deck and getting this out on turn 2, unlocking a 4 cost pirate or maybe a 4 cost shift option on turn 3, which is pretty cool. We're also getting a new song for Amber. It's going to be I Won't Give In from Zootopia. 2 cost inkable, return a character with cost 2 or less from your discard to your hand, pulling things back like your piglets, or maybe your 1 cost Daisy Ducks that have already eaten up your opponent's removal, putting them back in your hand, getting them out for cheap. But could be a really good card to include in aggro, especially since it's super cheap and it's a song. You can have one of your existing characters sing this. Now you're bringing one of your high priority questers with that 1 or 2 cost back to your hand to potentially play instantly. We're also getting a Chip and Dale based action here, Rescued Rangers Away. It is 2 cost inkable and reads, count the number of characters you have in play. Chosen character loses strength equal to that number of characters until the start of your next turn. So if you're playing an aggro Ruby Amber deck and maybe you have 4 characters on the board, this means you could target something all the way up to Maleficent Dragon with that 7 strength quite easily with just 4 characters on the board. All right, and then of course, we've also got some copies of Amber Chromacon, the 2 cost inkable item, allowing you to exert it every single turn and heal 1 damage from each of your characters, completely offsetting the effects of a Tinkerbell drop for your characters that stayed on the board. This just gives you the constant pressure to be able to attack into your opponents, and every turn you're going to be able to keep healing them up. All right, and then a new item that we have here for Azurite Sea, it's going to be the 1 cost uninkable Pooh pirate ship with the ability Make a Rescue. For 3 ink and exertion of the item, you can return a pirate character from your discard to your hand. Now, since this item doesn't need to be discarded, you can keep using this every single turn and keep bringing those pirates back. Although in a deck without ramp, 3 ink every turn just to do this might be a little bit expensive, especially since you're also going to need to have that ink to play that character. But still really cool to see that Amber is still focusing on their secondary theme of bringing those cards back from the discard. All right, and then the first location that we're taking a look at in this video, it is the 100-acre island. 1 cost, 1 to move with 5 willpower, with the ability Friends Forever. During an opponent's turn, whenever a character is banished while they're here, you'll gain a lore. This card is meant to put your opponent into a predicament, really forcing them to focus on removing your locations, more so than your characters, because if they don't, they're going to get the lore for that character. I can see this being used where you're forcing your opponent into like a pigeonhole where maybe you have a pretty wide board and it's a clear be prepared moment for your opponent. You're going to force them to need to play something with Rush instead if they don't have anything on the board to take out this location. So maybe they only get 1 or 2 characters of yours off the board and this location. This thing even gets around Rush powerhouses like Scar, which reset when they banish characters. He doesn't reset when he banishes locations. So they're going to have to sit there and do the math and see what is worth it to take out of your character pool that's at the 100-acre island and really make a decision there on what to take out. Now moving over to the Ruby side, we've got the 3 cost new Jasmine, Rebellious Princess. 2 strength, 3 willpower, questing for 2 with the ability You'll Never Miss It. Every time she quests, your opponent's going to lose 1 lore. We've got the 2 cost John Darling, Sophisticated Swordsman, 1 strength, 4 willpower, questing for 1. We're also getting a new John Silver card, a 4 cost uninkable 2/4 with 5 different key tags: Storyborn, Villain, Alien, Pirate, and Captain. And he's got the ability, whenever this character quests, you may deal 1 damage to another one of your characters. If you do, you can ready that character, and then they just can't quest for the rest of this turn. They can still challenge and they can still sing, or you can just keep them in the ready position, safe from things like Rush. Another 4 cost uninkable card coming on the Ruby side is going to be Kakamura Boarding Party, a 5/2 Rush character, and still quests for 1. If this survives the turn, you can still use it as a questing card, but being a 4 cost card, I think this is going to come out on turn 4. Take something out with 1 strength so it survives and then is exerted. Then if your opponent plays something like a Maui, this and that will take each other out. So a great card to see with such high strength for a relatively low cost. Another Kakamura that we're getting is a 2-cost Inkable Kakamura Pirate Pitcher. 1/3 stat line with the ability Dizzying Speed. When you play this character, chosen pirate gains evasive until the start of your next turn. Just a great way to keep something safe from most of the characters in the game. Unless, of course, they have evasive or they have some abilities or you play an action. We're getting another very basic 1-cost 2/2 card here with Wendy Darling, Playful Swordsman. We've seen this stat line repeated on multiple 1-cost cards, so nothing too special here. He does have the pirate tag, so it probably fits in with some pirate synergies more than some of the other 1-cost 2/2s, but still pretty basic here. We've got a 3-cost Inkable Mickey Mouse, Courageous Sailor, 2/4 stat line with the ability Solid Ground. He is a hero also. While this character is at a location, he gets +2 strength, so he becomes a 4/4 for that 3 cost, which is pretty good. Now, one of the cards that I'm most excited for, it's going to be the 7-cost Floodborne Moana, Kakamura leader, a 6/5 body with Shift 5 to play her, and the ability Gathering Forces. When you play this character, it doesn't need to be when you shift her, just when you play her. You may move any number of your characters to the same location for free. Gain 1 lore for each character that you moved. So if you're playing with a pretty wide board, and this comes out on turn 5 with the shift, you can move all those characters to the same location. Now they get the location's effects, and you're getting lore for each of those characters that you move that way. I'm already crafting like a Stitch Pridelands based deck where you just flood the board and then you get this Moana out, maybe even cheating her out with a 0 to hero, and then just moving all those cheap 1s and 2 costs to the same location, getting a bunch of lore in one turn. I think it could be pretty fun to see it play out if we can get that combo to work. Then of course, a new Floodborne Moana wouldn't be complete without a Moana to shift her onto. We're getting a 1-cost Inkable Moana, Self-Taught Sailor, a 3/2 body, which is pretty strong for a 1-cost card, and the ability Learning the Ropes. This character can't challenge unless you have a captain character in play. So she can still quest and still get lore in the early game, but you won't be able to attack with her until you get those captains out in play, which with it being a pirate-based expansion, we're getting a bunch of new captains. So your characters like Smee, your characters like this Moana are going to be perfectly happy, able to make the most out of their cards. But more importantly, a 1-cost Moana is really great because she has now 2 great shift options in Ruby that we can get out a lot quicker. They've also included the Ratigan card from last set. Ratigan Raging Rat, 1/5 body. He gets +2 when he has damage on him, which kind of combos with that John Silver card. You can just give this Ratigan an easy 1 damage, turning him into like a 3/4 for the 3 cost, which is pretty good. All right, and now the other character card that is on the box art, it's going to be Tigger in the Crow's Nest. He's a 3-cost Inkable, 0/4 evasive with the ability Swashbuckles. Whenever you play an action, this character gets +1 strength and +1 lore this turn. Could be pretty interesting with that Robin Hood from last set, or maybe if you have just a bunch of cheap actions or songs, you can get this card pretty high in strength and lore. And then looking at his character tags, he's got Storyborn, Hero, he's got Tigger, which is its own character tag, which is pretty funny, and then Pirate. All right, and then next up, here we have, like I said, one of those captains that are coming with this pirate theme set. It's Wendy Darling, Courageous Captain, a 2-cost uninkable 1/2 pirate and captain. She has evasive and the ability Look Lively Crew. While you have another pirate in play, this character gets +1 strength and +1 lore, becoming a 2/2 quest for 2 with that 2-cost uninkable and evasive, making her a great card to pair with your Smees. That Moana that we just took a look at, both the 1-cost and the shift card are both pirates as well. So a great turn 1, turn 2 combo you can have there. Now looking at the actions, we have the 2-cost Ruby action Lead the Way. Your characters get +2 strength for this turn. We've got a brand new song. It is 3-cost uninkable from Moana. It is The Islands I Pulled from the Sea. Search your deck for any location card, reveal that card to all players, put in your hand, and then you shuffle your deck. This, of note, is the first time we have a search card for locations specifically. We've had it for characters, we've had it for Madrigal cards, and now we have one for locations. So maybe if you really need that RLS legacy or you really need that Pride Lands, you can you can sing this song and go and get it, which could be pretty useful. We also have from last set, Rigan Party, CD Backroom, 2-cost Inkable, 1 to move, 7 willpower. And while you have a damage character here, location gets +2 lore per turn. So a great card to pair with some of those cards that enter play with damage on them, or if you pair them with like that John Silver that we looked at before. A very easy way to get damage onto a character. Now you're getting +2 lore every single turn, and as long as that character doesn't get taken out, you're going to get that free lore every single turn with this card nice and early. Now a new location for Ruby that we have is Skull Rock, Isolated Fortress, 2-cost Inkable, 1 to move, 6 willpower, with 2 abilities, Familiar Ground, your characters get +1 strength while they're here, and Safe Haven. At the start of your turn, if you have a pirate character here, you gain a lore. So you'll benefit from having just at least 1 pirate here. Not only is it going to get a little bit more strength to deal with challenges, but you're going to get that free lore as well. And it's very cheap to move those cards here. And that does it for the Amber Ruby starter deck for Azurite Sea. Let me know what you guys think of the deck list. We'll take a look at the Emerald Sapphire deck in tomorrow's video. But for this one, I think we're getting a lot of core cards that we can use in pretty interesting ways. I would love to see a pirate deck really become meta. Whether or not that's going to be Amber Ruby or Ruby Steel has yet to be seen, but this deck in particular is bringing a bunch of pirates to Lorcana, and we can't wait to check out the deck when it comes out on November 15th at hobby stores and Disney World. Until then, I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys then. See ya.